So, over the years with Doctor Who, we've had a lot of big-name actors come in. People like Sir Michael Gambon, Sir Ian McKellen, Sir John Hurt. A lot of big names have given up their time to appear in Doctor Who, and some of them have been quite keen to do it. People like Michelle Gomez, who apparently when she was called up by Stephen Moffat to give off her the part of Miss, she went, yeah, alright then, because you don't say no to Doctor Who. I mean, you can't. You shouldn't. One shouldn't. Even Derek Jacobi was very keen to be in it. But then again, I feel like sometimes we have to manage our expectations with Doctor Who actors. Like, there are some who it would be cool if we saw them appear in Doctor Who, but then there are some that are just like, they're too famous, they're too busy, they'd be too expensive. But I thought today I'd go through a list of actors who I would like to see appear in Doctor Who someday, and also a list of 5 who I think probably never will. Although it would be awesome if they did. So, to start off my list, there is one kind of small area that I'd like to focus on first, and that was actors who appeared in the Sarah Jane Adventures, because Sarah Jane Adventures was part of Doctor Who, and there were some actors who appeared in that series, and then after it ended, did actually come back for another role. People like Alexander Armstrong, Mina Anwar, Bradley Walsh, and Anjali Mohindra. So, to start off my list, I would like to say the kind of main actors from that show who were not Elizabeth Sladen, I wouldn't mind seeing them pop up again to have another role in Doctor Who. It may be the same one that they had, it may be a different one. People like Daniel Anthony, Tommy Knight, Yasmin Page, or Sinead Michael. I think any of those I'd be happy enough to see again, although I appreciate some of them might be busy. I mean, I saw Daniel Anthony in Magic Goes Wrong, so he might be busy at the moment, but still, I'd like to keep those in mind. Now, to start off with my list of actors who I'd like to see in Doctor Who at some point, my first one, everyone has their kind of top 3 list of who they think would make a good Doctor, make a good future Doctor. And at one point, I also had one of those lists. I had a top 3. People who included David Morrissey and James McAvoy. But my number 1 choice, when I was doing who I thought would make a good future Doctor, was actor David Thewlis, who you might remember from things such as An Inspector Calls, where he played the titular inspector. You may remember him from Wonder Woman, where he played Ares, or from the Harry Potter series, where he played Remus Lupin. And honestly, I felt that he would be quite a good Doctor. He was one that I was really dead set on. The only thing that might be holding him back for me from being the Doctor at some point now is his age, because I think the last time I looked, he was only something like 3 years younger than Peter Capaldi, and with Capaldi now in his mid-60s, and with Ncuti Gatwa in his early 30s at the minute, it seems unlikely that they're going to want to go for an older Doctor again so soon. So, David Thewlis is sadly off my list of potential future Doctors. However, I would still like to see him in the show someday, if they can manage it, because I think it would be good to see David Thewlis in an episode. Now, moving from a potential Doctor to essentially a person I put on my list as a future companion, there are always actors who we think of would be good Doctors, but then there are some who I think would be good companions, and one person who I thought at one point would be a good companion for a Doctor was former teen actress Dani Harmer. You might remember from things such as Danny's House, or from the story of Tracy Beaker, to which I thought about it and was like, I could see Harmer as a companion. I mean, obviously it's a bit out of the books now because we've got Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday coming up, but I still think it would be nice to see Harmer in an episode. Plus, she would technically add another to the Tracy Beaker sets, similar to the way that David Thewlis is technically part of the Harry Potter sets within Doctor Who. Dani Harmer, I think, would fit into the Tracy Beaker sets, having already had in the show people like Nisha Nayar, Tracy Ann Oberman, John Bell, Clive Rowe, and Richard Whisker, all in various Doctor Who properties over the time. So I think Dani Harmer would be a nice addition to Doctor Who. Now, with some of these actors, it is clear that I want them just because of sets, and with my next 2, that's very much the case. As another 2 actors I'd like to see appear in Doctor Who at some point were Bradley James and Kate McGrath. I mean, Kate McGrath would also fit in with the Arrowverse set, as we've had people like John Barrowman, Colin Salmon, and Arthur Darvill, but yeah, Kate McGrath would also fit in with kind of that lot as well, and I mainly want these 2 because they were in Merlin, which was for a while a popular BBC One series, and I feel that having had the likes of Richard Wilson, Angel Colby, Anthony Stewart Head, Colin Morgan, and Sir John Hurt in Doctor Who, it kind of feels prudent to not want these two in Doctor Who at some point. I mean, as I said, they might be busy, but yeah, they're on my list of wants. Next one up was actor Elias Gable. Now, I personally thought that he would be off my list because he was American, because the place I recognised him from was from an American series, Scorpion, which has actually made into my number 6 spot of favourite TV shows. But having looked up, he's said to be from Ireland in the show, and having looked him up, he is actually an English actor. So I think he would be good to see in Doctor Who. I think he's got the acting chops. I mean, while in Scorpion he played very much the kind of social outcast, I feel he'd do well in the show. Plus, I never really much thought about it at the time, but looking it up, with Scorpion they did actually manage to bag one former Doctor Who actor. Eric Roberts appears partway through season 2 of Scorpion. Now, my next one is a bit of a stretch, but here's the thing. Back in 2009 and 2010, we did actually manage to secure a former Bond in Doctor Who, that being Timothy Dalton, who appeared playing the Time Lord Rassilon. And while some of the likes are kind of out of the question, given the fact that Sean Connery has passed away and the like, there are some actors who you look at in James Bond and you think, could they be in Doctor Who? I mean, Daniel Craig, I think, might be a bit of a stretch in a minute, but then one actor who I think possibly could be good if they gave him a good duty role in Doctor Who was Pierce Brosnan. I mean, once again, as I said, some of these actors are going to be unavailable or too busy or too expensive, but Pierce Brosnan, I feel like if they manage to scrounge enough money together, I think he could bring a little bit of charm to a Doctor Who episode. I mean, even if they went back to MI6, maybe he's the kind of replacement for Stephen Fry's character from Spyfall. I think he could bring some good gravitas to it. Now, with the 60th anniversary specials bringing in Neil Patrick Harris as the Celestial Toymaker, that does leave me open up to some American actors, or even some from the likes of America, Canada, or the like. So 2 actors who, having had Neil Patrick Harris in the show, 2 actors who I would like to see pop up in Doctor Who maybe at some point, are Canadian actress Cobie Smulders, although I appreciate with Cobie Smulders, she might be on the busier side. I mean, not only did she appear in How I Met Your Mother, which lasted for a very long time, but also she's a fairly prominent part of the MCU as S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Maria Hill, so I appreciate that one might be a bit of a stretch. But the other one who I feel is kind of at a similar level, having both come from highly praised sitcoms, would be Jim Parsons. Now, there was a time for a while that I didn't really truly get how kind of future Doctor casting would work, so I kind of thought for a while, who would make a good Doctor? How about John Galecki? And I didn't really kind of grasp the fact that he was American, and ideally the Doctor should be British. But you know what? Since they managed to get Neil Patrick Harris in as the Celestial Toymaker, I think they could provide Jim Parsons with a really kind of scrumptious villain role. I think he'd pull it off beautifully. Now, I did say earlier on my list that I'd like Danny Harmer to come in, partially because I think she'd be a good actress to Doctor Who, and also partially for the Tracy Beaker sets. Another one who I'd personally like to see for the Tracy Beaker sets, Connor Byrne. I mean, I appreciate he might be a bit busy at the minute with The Dumping Ground, but you know what? Since we had the likes of Nisha Nair and Clive Rowe, I think to add Connor Byrne in for a special or just a guest appearance in Doctor Who, I'd put him on my list. And the last 3, I'll admit, I mainly want because of they were in my second favourite TV show behind Doctor Who. And those, I looked at the rest of the cast and thought, okay. I mean, Sarah Michelle Gellar I think might be a bit expensive. Alison Hannigan might be a bit too busy, but then again, they got Neil Patrick Harris in. But the 3 from my second favourite TV show who I think could appear in Doctor Who if they managed to get a good script and a good amount of money were Emma Caulfield, Seth Green, and David Boreanaz. I feel Emma Caulfield would be the one they probably had the best chance of getting. David Boreanaz probably the least, but then again, you never know. Of course, they appeared in Buffy the Vampire Slayer together, but yeah, I'd like to see at least one of them in Doctor Who. But then we come to 5 actors on my list who I don't personally think will ever appear in Doctor Who, but you never know. They might find a way somehow, but I don't think they ever will, but it would be cool if they did. Now, my first one is kind of a moot point, because the first one on my list was Benedict Cumberbatch. Now, this did come about kind of years ago, I think around the time Matt Smith was leaving Doctor Who. People were saying that Benedict Cumberbatch should be the next Doctor, and I think that was mainly because he appeared in Sherlock, and Stephen Moffat was also writing that. So, I personally kind of think now, with him playing Doctor Strange in the MCU, I kind of feel like that time may have passed. But then again, it's kind of a moot point because he did actually provide voice work for Big Finish audio productions on Doctor Who, so he has certainly done a bit of Doctor Who work. So, I don't know, maybe they could get him, maybe not. I think he might be a bit too busy, but anyway. The other one who I feel kind of fits into a similar bracket as Benedict Cumberbatch is Eddie Redmayne. Because I think after he would play Newt Scamander in Fantastic Beasts series, I think everybody wanted Eddie Redmayne to be the Doctor. They saw him as the perfect guy. He was weird, he was kooky, he was fun, but I fear that he might be a bit too busy with his film career at the minute, so that's why I'd probably say not. But you never know, time may tell. Next one up on the list of ones who I feel maybe not was actor Taron Egerton. Now, Egerton, he's had a decent film career for the past couple of years. The only misstep I'd really say he did was the Robin Hood movie. But aside from that, after having done the likes of Sing, Rocket Man, and the first two Kingsman movies, I just kind of feel like he might be a bit too expensive as one of Hollywood's up-and-comers. But still, you never know. Tom Holland was next on my list, purely because I felt that he is one of Hollywood's up-and-coming young actors, and I just feel like he'd be way too expensive. I mean, they have actually had a Spider-Man before. His predecessor in terms of Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, did actually appear in 2 episodes back in 2007, Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks, where he played a Hooverville resident named Frank. So, you never know, they might pull something out, but I just kind of felt with Tom Holland's career at the minute being the likes of Spider-Man, Onward, Cherry, Uncharted, and the like, I just feel like he's got a bit too much going on at the minute, and I feel it would be very expensive to get him in just for an episode. So that's why Tom Holland is kind of on my list of actors who I don't think ever will appear in Doctor Who. But still, you never know. And the last one on my list of actors who I don't think will ever really appear in Doctor Who, if I'm being honest, was Daniel Radcliffe. Now, Doctor Who has had a number of former Harry Potter actors in episodes over the years. As I said, people like Helen McCrory, Michael Gambon, John Hurt, Warwick Davis, Toby Jones. There's a ton of them, and I pretty much go on forever listing them here. But I always felt like the main 4 Harry Potter actors, i.e. Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, and Tom Felton, I feel like they might have been a bit of a stretch. Although apparently, from what I've heard, Radcliffe does still have all of his money from when he was Harry Potter. Like he's stored it away, and now he can pretty much just do whatever film roles he wants. So I just feel like getting him in for a TV episode of Doctor Who, I feel might be a bit of a stretch. I did go with people kind of imagining Rupert Grint as the Doctor. At one point I did put together an image that was Rupert as the Doctor, Emma as his companion, and Daniel as the new interpretation of the Master. But I kind of feel like this is a bit of a stretch. As I said, Daniel Radcliffe has pretty much gone to a part where he could pretty much live off his Harry Potter earnings, but he's stored that way, and now he can basically do whatever film or TV roles he wants. So I just feel like Doctor Who might be a bit below his pay grade. But that's just what I think. But are there any actors that you would like to see in Doctor Who someday? Ones who haven't appeared yet? Maybe you think Daniel Craig could pop up on the like. Let me know down below in the comments. Anyway, until next time, see ya.